What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And this one, I want to break down what's going on with Tesla stock, what's going on with a couple more tickers, what the news is saying about Tesla, what you should be watching for as time progresses. Before I break anything down, all this information, before I break down how Tesla's looking thus far, let me just mention a couple of things. I am firstly not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire Tesla community as a whole. Anyways, guys, looking at Tesla's thing is not looking the best right now. We had this nice uptrend that was being established. I talked about this in the morning. I told you all to watch and see, do we reject off this yellow trend line or do we break above this to turn bullish? I told you there's going to be a nice push up coming. It was looking kind of strong when we opened up. We got this nice push and another liquidity grab at this 258 area before we got another rejection. But the thing about Tesla is you could argue we have a head and shoulders like structure that is developed, and we got a bearish break from this bear flag, which is going to suggest more downside to come. So from a technical standpoint, it's looking a little bit weaker. It looks like it could see more downside, but just to be safe, we want to be watching for a follow-through move. And there's a pattern on Tesla I want to show you guys that's going to be very helpful for identifying what Tesla could end up doing. So I'm going to talk about a pattern on Tesla in just a few minutes based off its fractals and also some other important things. And first, let's talk about the markets. The fear and greed index is once again at extreme greed. The market is just being bought up like crazy. Could the market hold up for another week or so? Yes, it can. But usually, when we hit extreme greed, the market has a tendency of selling off or seeing a pullback. Now, does that mean it has to happen immediately? No, the market could still hold up for another week. It could hold up for another few days. But I believe that by January, we're going to likely see a pullback coming in the markets. It's coming very soon, but we have to be a little patient first before we officially get it because the market is still being bought up. That's why it's very important to watch trend lines and support zones to see how the market ends up moving. The fear and greed index is at extreme greed, so is market momentum. And we also have the puts and call positioning at this low, which actually marked the top back in July. So we're seeing some very similar trends developing, suggesting the market's in the topping process. Could the market push a little bit more? It still could. We could still go higher, guys, for another week. But in January, sometime maybe 1 to 2 weeks into January, the market could form its top, maybe even earlier. And then we're going to see a pullback, in my opinion, very soon. Now, there's some news coming out. Swedish regulators are investigating Tesla for suspension failures. And this is some important news because with this happening, this is actually leading to some safety concerns in their opinion. This was also carried out by Norway's traffic safety regulator and the Swedish Transport Agency, right? They're both basically announcing this. That's very important as well. Unfortunately, the Finnish Transport and Communications Agency is not as involved, but this is important news because they're going to be looking at some complaints that have come out, at least within Norway, and there are a lot of like negative pieces of news coming out because of this. They're also mentioning that the way that Teslas are built pose a serious risk, and that could be a little bit negative for Tesla. So we'll see how this goes with investigations going on. That's not the best of news. Let's hope that Tesla just tries to kind of like address this. So we'll see what happens as time goes on. This is just an investigation. We'll see if they find anything and what this leads to for Tesla and what the costs are. We're still going to find out about this later on. Now, there's this news that's still coming out. It's making all the headlines. Tesla recalls 120,000 vehicles over potentially faulty doors that could open in a crash. This is once again some more big news that came out. That is once again not the best of news as the NHTSA is concerned about Tesla in their investigations. As a remedy, Tesla is releasing an over-the-air software update. That's once again supposed to help alleviate the problem. We'll see if that ends up being the case. We'll be watching this very carefully. Tesla announced a recall for nearly all its US vehicles, some 2 million, due to concerns about safety of its autopilot driver assistant feature. That happened a while back, and they did end up fixing that with the over-the-air software update. So hopefully another software update fixes this, because this seems like something that could be very concerning if the doors, end up opening in a crash. So let's hope Tesla fixes this. This is part of why Tesla sold off a bit, and we'll be watching to see if the over-the-air software update helps to really address this issue. If it does, then this wouldn't be a typical recall. But if anything, guys, I still admit that this is not the best of news. The stock market is going to be closed, guys, on Monday. So we have a 3-day holiday. Monday is going to be Christmas, no trading until Tuesday. Tuesday, the market's going to open. We have some housing data and stuff like that. And the volume on Tesla is kind of weak, only 93 million. So it's starting to dry up a little bit. What can I tell you about Tesla? I'm just going to talk about Tesla and SPY real quick, then end the video. I don't want to talk about too many tickers for now. Just make this very short since the weekend is coming up. On the daily charts, Tesla's looking kind of weak, but support is just barely holding. This is a critical support. The daily 200 EMA at 252.53. Tesla closed just above that and it's still trying to hold for now. So watch to see if we hold this key support. Now on SPY, I just want to mention that SPY also has a similar support at the 5 EMA, and we have a very indecisive daily candle as the market is just kind of nuanced. Now for Tesla, let's break down some technicals. What is the pattern I was talking about? What do I see going on? Well, guys, let's go back to the very middle of December. You will notice a very interesting pattern on Tesla, okay? Notice this, watch this carefully. When we opened on December 14th, Tesla pumped, it dumped, and then pumped. Okay, what about for Friday, December 15th? We opened, we pumped, then we dumped, then we pumped a little bit. Okay, what about for Monday, December 18th? It pumped and dumped. Okay. What about for Tuesday? It pumped, dumped, and then pumped a little bit, got a decent close. What about for Wednesday? Pumped and dumped like crazy with the whole market. Then look at Thursday. It pumped, dumped a little bit, and pumped again and closed kind of decently. And then finally for Friday, it pumped and then dumped. So, what's the pattern you're noticing, guys? There's an interesting pattern here. Tesla will most likely try to pump a little bit one more time, grab some liquidity. And if it establishes a lower high, we'll turn really bearish and we're going to see it pump and dump again. Then we'll watch and see if it could hold 250 as support or not. I think this is most likely what's going to happen to Tesla. A pump and dump move is very probable. Tesla's looking kind of weak right now. We do have a head and shoulders, and we ended up getting a break below this channel right over here. So we had this bear flag that formed. We got a breakdown. Tesla's still not looking the best. We're also below our yellow trend line. So if you want to be bullish on Tesla, just hypothetically, guys, you want to see this thing do something insane. You want to see some very good news come out. You want to see Tesla break not just 258, but you want to get above this yellow trend line like this, back to 260. See the yellow trend line right here? This is what was holding Tesla up for some time. So if we get back in this channel, we're going to turn very bullish. Maybe this could happen when Tesla's deliveries comes out in January, but as of right now, it looks kind of tricky, very difficult to get up there as we have some tight resistance at 258 to 260. If you're bearish on Tesla, you want to see this thing establish a lower high. So relative to this high right here at this 258 area, you want to see Tesla kind of pump and then dump and kind of fail to break that. And that seems very probable right now as Tesla's just kind of weakening. It failed to break out right here. It really failed to break this high, kind of rejected and got a big break right here. So it might pump and dump again. I anticipate a little pump on Tuesday, then a little dump, but then we'll see if the buyers could defend this thing and try to close it above where we currently are, or do the buyers ultimately fail and we just continue to sink going into Wednesday. We'll just watch for that test, especially at 250. But right now, Tesla's starting to lose some momentum. Look for a nice push up, especially when we start off on Tuesday, and we'll see how it goes from there. We also have our daily 200 EMA. Once again, are very close to that 252 area. We'll see if that holds for Tesla or not. If we close below it, we could start to turn a bit more, but I want to see two consecutive closes below that to turn even more bearish. So just be very careful. Tesla is also not officially fully filled this gap down here. You could argue that at 248. And if anything, once again, I am a little concerned because of the fact that we have a head and shoulders, right? This could be your left shoulder from December 18th. The right shoulder's up here. Not the right shoulder, sorry. The head is up here from Wednesday. And you have the right shoulder up here for Friday. So left shoulder, head, right shoulder forming. Looks like we could be forming a bearish structure. We failed to break above this yellow trend line. We were trying to today and we just ended up failing. So not the best of news. There could be a risk of more downside. The news will affect it, but just be careful, guys. Tesla could start downtrending a bit more. Now, if we end up losing support at 252, watch 250, 247, then watch this blue trend line very close to 244 in this range. Then we have 242 and 240 below that. For resistance, you're going to be watching 254. If you break that, there's 256, 258, and then 260. Make sure you watch these resistance levels very carefully. All right, so watch that carefully. We'll see how it goes. As far as SPY goes, there's one thing that concerns me a little bit. We have a bear flag forming, which tends to ultimately lead to bearish structures, but there's no confirmation of this breaking yet. No confirmation yet. So could this thing try to push higher and hold up for a bit? It still could. Ultimately, I see downside coming for January. I think the market's going to correct a little bit. Not like a typical crash or like a massive correction, just like a little pullback should be coming in January. But don't forget, guys, look for a little rebound like this and watch this test. Do we break this high right here on SPY? If we break 476, we turn bullish. 478 is coming. However, that's going to be kind of tricky, and I can't guarantee that. That's the bullish case. The bearish case would be we kind of like fail and we just like kind of collapse. We fail from this flag, and the flag plays out. We just see 470 and below. And what is more probable, in my opinion, I think it's going to attempt to bounce. I don't know if it's going to fail here. I think it's going to test this trend line. And the best thing to do is just watch and see this channel, watch the support. If we lose this, watch this thing come down like this to 472, watch for a back test, and see if we break down. This also resembles like a left shoulder, our head, and our right shoulder. And this could be a breakdown from this flag, which leads to an ultimate drop. Overall, SPY is weakening a little bit. We obviously have some gaps to fill, but just to be safe, just to be very, very unbiased, I'm not going to count on this thing to crash. I'm not going to count on this thing to run. Instead, we're still in this channel and we're going to be watching to see what this brings. Do we continue higher and just try to break out a little bit for a little bit longer, or do we finally get a confirmation break to the downside from this lower support and then start coming down like this? Apple's looking kind of weak. I'll be talking more about that probably on one of the later days. And until then, guys, please take care and do what you have to do. But just know that this is what SPY is looking like, and we'll see how it goes from here. All right. So thank you for listening. Have an absolutely spectacular rest of the day. Remain calm, cool, and collected. Hopefully, this video was helpful for everyone who is like invested in or maybe like interested in Tesla. And with that being said, I'll see you guys very, very soon. Thanks again for listening, guys. Have a great weekend. Take care. Enjoy what life has to offer, and I'll see you guys very soon. Thank you and peace out.